Drink it in, man.
Deep left side carry on. Picks on the block. At the 5. At the 2. At the 1 to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Drink it in, man.
Get up, Stafford throws. It is end zone. Caught! Oh, baby, what a catch! Kenny Galladay, you're a freak! What a catch! Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread!
I love the Lions! Say it with me! I love the Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid, what is going on, everybody? Monday, and we are in the house, and we are coming at you. A Lions victory. Me and Grifka were at the game. We're going to talk about all types of stuff on this show. We're going to talk about our pregame, getting down to the game, all our hijinks before the game. We're going to talk about, do the game review. I might have a few issues with Grifka like I normally do on the show. And I may have a rant, and who knows what else might happen on this show. But the Lions got a dub. Good stuff. Grifka, I did this on my fantasy show. I usually just introduce you, but I made a little quick clip. This is something funny me and my buddies used to do back in the day. So this is the Hey Buddy remix. So when I say, hey, Grifka, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy!
Oh, hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy! Hey, buddy! Hey, buddy!
Grifka, what's going on, buddy?
Hey man, that's pretty tight, man. So, man,
That's our boy. Get the origin of that. That was Jay Moore back in the day making a joke out of a Michael Jordan Hanes commercial where the dude in the Hanes commercial like jumped up in Michael Jordan's face and said, "Hey, buddy." And so for like 2 years, me and all my friends, every time we'd call each other or see each other in person, we just, "Hey, buddy," and just caught like wildfire. So I thought I'd bring it back a little retro for the show.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, man. So yeah, but yeah, everything's great, man. Got a big Lions W right there. We're seeing it, and everything that happened was that was a great game to watch, man. Ready to talk about it.
Absolutely, man. Grifka, let's hit just a couple quick things off the top. Basically, just one thing, man. C.J. Anderson getting cut, I think, on a random Tuesday afternoon. Paul Perkins being claimed off waivers. Like, I've always, back in the day, I was sort of a Perkins guy, and then he fell off the map. I mean, not a Perkins guy like Tiger Woods is, you know what I mean? But like a fan of Paul Perkins. But he's just been off the map. He's been injured. So I don't know if C.J. Anderson got the boot. I don't know because of this.
Or says he's fat.
If he had a weight issue or if he just wasn't playing well.
It's garbage.
But it was surprising, like, because I thought he was a good vet. I really liked what I heard about him just kind of being a coach on the field. Thought he could help carry on along this year. Had some good, bowling ball type runs, and surprised they moved on from him. What'd you think?
Yeah, I was surprised as well. But when you're reading things like, he looks thick, and that was being nice, and
Or says he's fat.
Exactly. And, when people like when my other friends are texting me going, who's the lineman you have in the backfield? I didn't know you got
Or says he's fat.
Bulldozer. And you're right. He had a couple good runs, but he had a couple of them. He looked very like Garrett Blunt back there. We went to go do a jump cut, and he's like jumping out of like quicksand, and he's not going anywhere. So obviously the move was made. They feel that Johnson, can pick up the slack, and carry on might get the ball a little more, but who knows? I mean, heard some other rumors. Maybe this is a cost-cutting thing, trying to save up some money to go get somebody, So who knows?
Yeah, surprising. I guess the biggest thing for me is sort of, Paul Perkins coming in cold, doesn't know the system. You're basically down like Grifka. This is where I get to introduce my new Grifka Bell too. We have a digital Grifka Bell, which I think will be better for the listeners and better in general. So why don't you go ahead and wax poetically about your boy Ty Johnson and how you were right and how he's like the number 2 before you can blink and how I had that one wrong. I'll leave you a couple bells. Go for it.
Well, Ty Johnson, he did have a couple nice plays. Showed a little bit of that speed that what they got, what they drafted him for. I mean, it's nice to see that he will be used. Just one of those things. At some point, it seems like rookies do hit a wall, so maybe they will try to curtail his carries and how much he plays at some point in the season. So, but yeah, I'm glad he's like moving up the depth chart, and he's gonna get some playing time.
Grifka, what was that? Like, I gave you a total opportunity to ring your own bell, literally, and say I told you so, and say, oh, Greasy, I got an eye for talent. I watched the games. He was good at Maryland. He's going to be the number 2. I told you that, and you said he was going to be like a 4. You could have got all those digs in, and then you just gave me some random vanilla take. What was that?
Sorry for not being a jerk. I mean, excuse me. I mean, I'm not where he's at, but he is a rookie. He only have a couple games under his belt. I mean, sorry.
So basically, you pubbed him up to the people. We had a big argument about it, and now that it's sort of coming true, you're doing, I don't know, the old Grifka backpedal. Where now you're like, oh, I don't know, Okrie might hit a wall. I mean, don't get your expectations too high. I mean, he has speed. I mean, all the stuff that I basically said. Now you're going back to that.
I don't talk a whole lot of junk. I'm happy with where he's at. I'm one of those guys. I mean, I used to be one of those fans like you are now. You're so high on everybody, and then you'll crash, But nope, I get to my flying level, and I just maintain my altitude. So.
Where I'm at. All right, whatever.
L-I-E-I-N, living. That's if anybody knows what that's from.
No, nobody knows what you're talking about. But like I say, what?
I said we can't be friends no more if you've never seen that movie. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, I don't know. But Paul Perkins, to me, is going to have to get up to speed quick. He's basically going to have to be, some type of factor. I mean, yeah, I guess you can run a lot of carry-on. You can mix in Ty Johnson, and then you can sort of barely piece him in for a couple weeks. But, I mean, Bob Quinn must see something, know something. I mean, it's a pretty bold move, in my opinion. If you brought him in and kept CJ and kept Ty and kept carry-on, and, if Zach Zenner was even still somewhat in the mix, I mean, I wouldn't have an issue with it, but to sort of just snag him, get rid of a kind of a vet that isn't going to hurt your football team for a guy that you really don't know. I mean, I sure hope in a couple weeks I'm going to be saying, wow, this guy's got some juice, he can catch. I mean, I remember back in the day he could run it, he could catch it. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but was set to be the Giants starter there in his second year after a pretty decent showing, and that's when he sort of just fell off the map and got hurt. So I'm really anxious to see what happens, as well as just kind of curious on what the heck they saw to kind of make that kind of bold move. But, if he had some punch in the run game, I'll sure be happy about it. So, Grifka, let's do this. Let's walk the people through kind of our day leading up to the game, and then we'll take a break and give them that whole game review and do some other things on the show. So the day starts out super early. I mean, I got to roll out of bed at like 6 o'clock. I mean, I love going to Lions football, but if I don't have to be at work, which I'm usually at my office at 6, 7 in the morning at the latest, like, I hate getting up that damn early on a Saturday, Sunday, whatever it may be. So I just of course, I overslept my alarm. I wrote Grifka, oh, dang, running late. And we had decided to go light for the tailgate. We were just going to have some beverages. We're going to figure out our food down there, walk around, have some fun. So I get to your house, I don't know, probably like hour and a half after I said I'd be there. Still shoving off at 8:30ish, got out of there. And heading down to the game, man, playing all types of music, laughing, talking Lions. What else did we do on our way down there?
Let's see. We stopped at one of the most jankiest gas stations in the world for a bag of ice, and that place was scary. And I just remember the guy saying to us, there's a lot of snow on the ice, so you might have to break it off. So we get the bag of ice out, and you promptly drop the bag of ice in the in the snow and get like this frost and the snow all over the floor, and you're like, clean up aisle 2, and then we just walk out.
Yeah, well, like the guy undersold it. He's like little Frost. I mean, I couldn't even get a bag off. This thing was covered in snow. I don't know what was going on with their ice machine. So the least I could do is sort of put it back on him and give him a little work to do for the day. So yeah, definitely was some wet. It needed that old yellow triangular sign saying slippery floor after I was done.
Yeah, that was strange. And then but yeah, then we get down to Detroit, we park, and we get our spot. And, like, by the time we got there, I mean, it seemed like whenever we got
Hold
there
on.
in the morning.
What about the McDonald's stop where we got shorted hash brown? Was that where you were rude to the drive-through, or was that the second one, or was that both?
That was the first one. It's like, did you want the meal? I'm like, yeah.
You were rude to both McDonald's people? Because later in the
Yes.
day is the worst. Don't think I'm going to forget about that one. That's probably why I'm not feeling so well today. Oh, my goodness. Grifka just...
Did you want the meal? I'm like, yeah. And that's what that was the first one. The second one at a completely different McDonald's asked the same stupid question. And I'm just like, huh? You know, I'm like, yeah, but we can do that one on the way back. And you're like, you better tell them that was you so they're not spitting in my food. And I go, whatever.
Oh. Grifka, whatever. That deserves a bell.
Whatever. That's my food.
Oh my gosh, I've never heard somebody be so rude to a drive-through person. And then we get out of the first McDonald's and you're like snapping your fingers. I'm like, what do you want? And you're like, hash brown. I'm like, I got 2 hash browns. You're like, I got one too. And I'm like, I didn't hear you get one. And we only got 2 in the back. You're like, oh, whatever. And then I gave you one of my paid for hash browns because I'm such a good guy. That was the first Mickey D stop, which again, I don't want to get on a rant or tangent, but can we get the orders right, people? Can we remember napkins? Can we remember straws? It's really not that hard. I mean, I know it takes a rocket scientist to work the drive-through window, but I'd say their percentages are upwards of 80 to 85% of forgetting something in every order.
Well, yeah. Well, you needed something. I should have let you have both hash browns, considering you were having the road beers. And you're like, "Is it okay?" I'm like, "No, man. You're not supposed to have open intox in the car." I'm not. It don't matter.
What about, you got to tell the people though? So you tell me that, and what does Oakery bring? But the coolest thing ever, the 80s Kool-Aid Man jug, along with little Kool-Aid custom cups in Lions blue. So I dumped the old beverage in there and was sipping from the classic Kool-Aid glasses that you can only find via eBay, 1982.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was slick. But yeah, so that was pretty sweet. But anyways, by the time we get to the parking lot, I mean, usually we're like one of the first people there, so we're used to the parking lot being mostly empty by the time we show up at like 7:30 in the morning. But I mean, by the time we got there, it was like, 9:30. And no, wait, yeah, it was about 9:30 we got there, 9:45, and there's like nobody in this parking lot. And we're like, wow, I mean, we had room to play catch, and obviously the child vendors were coming around selling the peanuts and selling the M&Ms, and we're like, no thanks.
Grifka, you really think you're gonna just say that and sneak that one past me? I mean, really?
Wow.
You're really gonna use a wow and not have me go to the sound? Are you kidding me? Frank Ribble would be distraught.
Wow.
Yeah, I forgot about the wow.
Sweeping the nation still.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we just, like you said, we did it pretty light. We just, had a few adult beverages, and then we decided to go for a walk. And I really want to thank my buddy Alex Atwell, one old guy hadn't seen in a long time, and he pinged me, and he's like, "Hey, we're held up over at outside the Michigan Theater over on Bagley." So me and you ended up walking over there, and him and his boys let us hang with him for a while. They doled out some adult beverages to us, and once again, thank you, Alex. It was a great time catching up with you, talking about the Lions. And Derek actually got to see. I was the only one that doesn't have certain feelings about the Lions. Seeing it, the games, how they play out, the feelings we have. That was a lot of fun.
All right. Well, first of all, Griffey, you get a bell for the ping quote. Like, You got to explain this to me. You always say they pinged me. Who does that? Like, what is this app you're using where you're getting pinged, or are you just getting text and that's what you call it? I'm
That's
confused.
Call it, man. Sorry.
The Grifka ping, unbelievable. Now you skipped a step. So our first, as we left the parking lot, was my whole goal for the day was to take um, the football and just run around downtown Detroit just chucking footballs at people. Like anybody that had a Hawkinson jersey, anybody that looked like they wanted the rocket ball that I throw off my right arm, I was going to throw it to them. I was throwing it across the boulevard. I was chucking it into big parking lots at tailgates. There's some old guy where I tried to like throw him a slant route and he was like, I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. And I still should have put it right between his eyebrows there. But some incredible street ball with a football, throwing it through concrete walls with holes in it, throwing it over stop signs, across street lights, all types of things in the downtown D. So that was fun. Then we went and visited your buddy. Now, again, all shouts out to your buddy. Good dude.
Hold on, wait. You forgot about the lady that you tried to like throw her the ball. You like, got her attention, and just as soon as she saw what you were planning on doing, she like dropped her head like she was shunning you. And we like started, remember that? She like actually kind of put her hand up in front of her face too a little bit. Where I'm like, dude, did you see that, man? She has nothing to do with you. And we just like started laughing. It was just, that was better than the guy.
If you see an absolute stallion like me with my right arm cocked and a football getting ready to come your way, I mean, wouldn't you dip your head too? I mean, you don't want that thing coming your way, especially with those Eric Ebron hands that you got.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was the one that caught. You put it over like a rock on the fence that I was like, even with the distraction of it, going to hit the fence, I still made the catch. So, yeah. I was making those over-the-shoulder catches all the time, running down the sidewalk, like, do a button hook around the pole. And I'm like, okay. Okay.
Yeah, must have been some good passes. But the other thing that was absolutely hilarious was we were walking out on the one main street, hanging a lefty, and all of a sudden Hawkinson's coming my way. So I asked him if he wants one. He puts his hands up. I throw an absolute spiral right between the 8 and the 8, puts it on the turf, man. I think that was one of the first ones. He drops it. He's absolutely embarrassed. I call him Eric Ebron. I talk about his frying pan hands. His girlfriend makes fun of him right in front of him that he just can't catch. Man, that was something else as well. But like you say, just having fun, chucking the football around. That was a good time. Let me get to your buddy now. Your buddy, super good dude. Fun tailgate. Glad we went over there. Except for the fact that I felt like I was looking in the mirror at Grifka's twin brother when it comes to Lions takes. We couldn't have been there 2 minutes, and he started talking about how the Lions were going to lose by a fluke, and it always happens. And I mean, I swear I needed the Grifka bell sitting there. Just this guy was rambling them off like these guys have been talking Lions and just crying about the Lions for 20 years. I mean, he had every excuse, every oh, woe is me, every for the last 20 years it happens, I had to give him the old, well, that doesn't mean it's going to happen today. And we were just getting into it. I was literally like, where am I right now? Like, if I ever need a sub for the podcast, I know who to turn to, because the guy will have the exact same takes as you. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, but it was so good that you actually got to hear somebody else, feel the same way I do, that you think like I'm the only one. Nope, there's other ones out there like me. Once again, Alex, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Have your back. You had my back. Thank you very much.
Grifka, you must not listen to the show. The reason I rag on you is because you're like every other Lions fan I ever hear, which is the old, well, for the last 50 years, and it always happens to us, and that's the same old Lions play. You don't think I hear that every day from every friend, every relative, every person I've ever come into? The only people I don't hear are like the optimistic people like me, or that say, hey, how about we don't worry about what happened 40 years ago, and how about we worry about today? Those are the ones I don't hear. So that's not my beef. It's definitely just the same old of like, oh, what's going to happen today to cause us to lose? I don't know. What's going to happen to cause us to win, which is what we need to talk about right now, Grifka. Big game review, Lions, Los Angeles Chargers at Ford Field. We're going to do that right when we come back after the break. Everybody, we're back, and I'm super pumped to talk about this game. You know, if anybody saw me on Twitter the last day or so, you saw me go on some rants. I don't know, on Mike Valente, 97-1. This guy, I swear, Grifka, you can never please this guy. Same with most Lions fans. The Lions win. All he wants to do is talk about Michigan State because he doesn't want to acknowledge the victory. Then when he does talk about them, all he wants to do is talk about all the faults. And then when he talks about all the faults, he wants to back it up with, well, I told you the Lions would win. I mean, so he gets he's right in there. Bull crap. I got all these like Valente apologists coming after me on Twitter, and then I got all the actual Lions optimists saying, yeah, it's a bunch of garbage. Nobody listens to that clown. Absolutely ridiculous, man. I'm so sick of that, and I'm so sick of like all my friends too. Like the minute the Lions lose or something bad happens, my phone blows up with all these texts. You think I barely got any messages saying great win by the Lions, what a tough victory, glad they pulled it out in the end? No, of course not. I don't get anything. It's just this negative attitude across the board that just drives me nuts. But was this a pretty football game? No. Was it a great win? I think, in regards to gritty, tough, making plays when it counted. Absolutely. So, Grifka, I pitch it to you. What'd you think about that crazy screenplay to carry on where he bobbled it about 9 times and then waltzed in the end zone? That was pretty sweet.
Yeah, that was nice to see. I was really worried actually when it bounded kind of away from him that he was going to drop it because, like you said, there was really kind of nobody out in front of him. The offensive line did a nice job getting out there, making the blocks, clearing the way for him. And so when I saw it kind of bounce off his hands, I was like, oh gosh. And then he reeled it back in, and he was just able to scamper in. That was a great play call right there. Offensive line made their way upfield. Blocked it perfectly. That was a great score. It was really needed at that point. That was one of the biggest things. I think my biggest thing I was most impressed with was the offensive line. I know when we previewed the game, we really talked about that pass rush that the Chargers had, and we thought maybe the tackles would struggle with the defensive ends, but really. I thought they played pretty well. I mean, Crosby filled in for Decker. I think his stat line was he only had like 2 QB pressures, no sacks, no quarterback hits. So the way Crosby filled in for Decker, that was amazing. So I was very, very happy with the way the offensive line played, and, especially pass blocking. Once again, the run game seemed to struggle at times here and there. But still, I mean, being able to give Stafford that much time to throw the ball, I was very impressed with that.
Yeah, it was. There's a great video on YouTube. Everybody should go check it out. It's kind of that sounds of the game where they had Danny Amendola mic'd up and Matt Pat, all types of great stuff. You gotta check out that video. But one of the coolest parts is on that screenplay. They got Matt Pat mic'd up, and he's just like, great block, Frank. Great block, Frank. That's a great block, Frank. Like over and over again on that play. Because if you go back and watch it, like carry on, it was a great play design in the first place. And then when they throw it back, he's got some room. But good old Frankie Ragnow, our number 1 pick, the Grifka hated, is absolutely just barreling out there to just take care of a cornerback or safety, whoever that was, just barreled him down. And by the time Carry On got his hands on the football and secured it, he was just walking into the end zone basically. So that was tremendous. Austin Eckler for the Chargers had scored a touchdown before that. So this basically ties up the game, except for Matt Prater misses an extra point, 7-6. And this is my only first beef with Grifka, but this is when it started. The old, here we go again. How can it 7-6? You had to know one of our best players, our kicker, was going to do something ridiculous, right, to cost us and miss an extra point. So this is when the ball starts rolling downhill for Grifka because we haven't played a perfect football game. And for the next 2 quarters, there's penalties. There's all types of kind of back and forth. Slay's getting roasted. Grifka, of course, doesn't want to acknowledge that his boy's getting toasted by Keenan Allen. Then there's the calls. Grifka's got his arms folded. Next thing you know, this is the play I want to detail. And I want your take on this, Grifka, because I'm going to come at you hard. So we're jumping all the way to the third quarter. 8:26 left in the third quarter. Darius Slay had just got another pass interference in the end zone, put the ball on the 1. Chargers are about to score, put them up, would have been 14 to 6 probably at that point, and they're on the 1 yard line. I'm looking over at you. Big play in the football game. Austin Eckler tries to jump over the pile again. Our other rookie, Johnny Tavai, knocks the ball out. Devin Kennard gets on the football. Absolutely incredible. Fumble on the 1.
It's a fumble. Fumble-laya. Sergeant Fumbleina Wilkerson fumbles the ball.
Fumble on the 1. Crowd's going nuts. The place is like, that's a huge play in the game. What do? I look over at Grifka, still sitting down, arms folded, pissed at the world. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, it's at that point, it's 6 to, what is it? Is it still 6-7 or is it 10-6? I don't know what it is, but it's a close dang football game. We just turned them over on the 1, and you couldn't have been more annoyed and more like down in the dumps. Like, are you kidding me with that? That pissed me off.
Well, first of all, I wasn't pissed at the world. Second of all, I was, pretty much intent and like watching the play, and I was actually sitting down watching it in between the two people that were standing up in front of us. So that's what I was doing. And third of all, like I told you, like, why didn't you jump up? I'm like, because I had to piss so bad. If I would have jumped up, I probably would have pissed down my pants. Because you remember about 5 minutes after that, I went and used the bathroom after the Lions punted. So that's what, I wasn't pissed. I probably would have pissed myself, okay, if I would have jumped up. So you can be pissed off at me if you want, but I wasn't pissed.
Okay, well, I do remember you saying that, and that's.
Oh, now you recall it after I wrote. Oh, yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, because I only give you credit. Like, okay, that's a reason, but it doesn't nullify the other. Again, me sitting with Grifka for 3 hours watching a Lions game is not good for me or my soul or for anything, because Grifka, do you think the Lions are going to play perfect football for 4 quarters? I mean, do you think that nothing's going to go wrong in a game? Like, it was still 10-6 or whatever, and you just seemed like it was 41-6. I couldn't understand why you weren't like, this is a close game, back and forth. Like, all we got to do is make a freaking play. And I swear, like, anything that's not perfect, you hate, and it just drives me nuts. I'll never understand it. So, yeah, okay, maybe you had to go to the restroom, maybe you had some issues there, but I swear, through the whole game, unless we're just playing perfect football, you're not a happy camper, and I can understand it if we're getting blown out, but not in this type of scenario.
Well, they were playing from behind pretty much most of the game. So yeah,
they're behind by like 4 or less than a touchdown. What do you want us to be up 30 in the second quarter?
Well, let's face it. Let's actually talk about this. I mean, they got lucky that San Diego's kicker was hurt, and there it is. Oh yeah. Considering San Diego was, like you said, Darius Slay was getting pretty much beat like a dusty rug all game by Keenan Allen, and they moved into field goal position a number of times, which they bend but didn't break, and their kicker/punter just happened to miss, some field goals. So yeah, you're right. And Jelani Tavai made a great play at the other end, and knocked the ball out for a fumble. But the Chargers were moving the ball, pretty well on this defense. The defense, they were leaving a lot of cutback lanes. They weren't setting the edge very well. Trey Flowers right now, I believe, is just stealing from the Lions. Because I don't know.
Serenity now!
He's got 3 tackles in 2 games? I mean, come on. We paid you a bunch of money to do something. Do something. So, yeah, I wasn't the happiest the way they were playing. They were still playing from behind. So, yeah, I'm not going to sit there and jump up and say, what a great game. Awesome. You guys are playing awesome. Well, not really. San Diego, like I said, miss some field goals. They had the late turnover that, Slay caught that sealed the game, and they had the fumble, but there were points where Detroit was, moving the ball, and they'd have a penalty, bring it back, or they'd stop them on the punt, they'd have a nice return, then all of a sudden there's the typical block in the back or the hold where they'd be starting in, inside their own 20. So, to say, play perfect, they had a lot of errors in that game as well, and they snuck away with a victory, and I'll take it. But to say if they're not playing perfect, you're not happy. Well, you're full of crap, okay? That's just you thinking, what's in my head, and you don't, so.
I pity myself that I gotta be with these fools.
Grifka, I'm just sitting here telling you that this is the NFL. Like, there's never going to be a perfect game. I mean, the minute the flags come out in the rev, here we go. Yeah, I was frustrated by flags too. I was frustrated by some of the play. But you don't sit there when the game is within one score and you're just like down in the dumps because like our team's not playing perfect. Like if we're down multiple, fine. If we're like having the worst game ever, you're saying, oh, their kicker missed some field goals. Did I miss it that Matt Prater missed extra point and like a 30-40 yarder? Like it's the same both ways. Every NFL game there's ebbs and flows. So I just keep telling you, this is like our going into our second year of the show, that at some point you're going to have to understand that and sort of just go with it and know that, all right, yeah, we suck, but we're only down less than a touchdown. All we need is a turnover, a score, whatever it may be. This game's right in the balance. It's not, oh, the Lions were making all these mistakes. Oh, Trey Flowers is stealing money. Grifka, we were holding the Chargers to 10 points. I mean, playing good football across the board. So we don't need to belabor it anymore. That was just my huge bone to pick with you because, again, we're celebrating at the end. We're going nuts at the end. It's like it can't be like always one or the other. Like, oh, I'm down in the dumps. Oh, we won, going nuts. It's got to be like this even keel fandom where it's like we're hanging in there with our team. We know that like this is still a coin flip of a game, which it was throughout, and which I kept saying. And I'm like, one play. All we need is one play. Somebody on defense is going to make a play. And they ended up doing it at the end. But I want to talk about the fourth down. Lions going for it on fourth down, something we hadn't seen that much recently. Lots of like, let's punt it away. Good old Jimmy Caldwell. Lots of conservative football, which we'll get to later as well. And instead, they go out and they go for it on fourth down. Matt Stafford throws an absolute laser to extend the drive. Absolutely incredible play. Oh man, I gotta fit this in, Grifka. I'm sorry I missed it. You've got to hear the call of the since we just got done arguing about the fumble on the one. Have you heard the Dan Miller call yet?
No, I have not.
You have to hear this, and the end is like him yelling at the team about getting it together. It's probably what I was doing to you while you were holding it in, or when I was frustrated with you. So listen to this. This is classic.
Rivers turns, gives to Eckler. He tries to go up and over. Oh, yes. The Lions have got it. They took it away. Yes. How big is that? How big is that? The Lions have got the football recovered by Devon Kennard. Fellas, wake up. You got to play. Let's go.
Yes, that was
good
huge.
grief. It's time. Let's go. Chargers up by 4. Lions with a big takeaway.
Is that classic or what?
Yeah, and I particularly love the Lomas Brown color. So that was awesome. Yeah.
I was gonna say, what's better, the call and his passion, or Lomas going yes in the background? Like, oh my gosh, brutal. Hey. Oh my gosh, talk to me about the fourth down, Grifka. Them getting some onions, actually going for it and converting. That was pretty sweet.
Well, I know we were sitting there talking about it, and you're like, "What would you do?" I'm like, "Well, you run, you make them use their timeout." And you're like,
no, you're too ahead. This is fourth down earlier in the game. They throw it to Marvin Jones, absolute stick route, makes the catch, moves the chains, and then I might as well do it now before you respond. So they go ahead and do that, and then the next play after that, I don't know. I believe it was something like this.
Stafford's got it. Looks, loads, throws, deep middle. And he's caught! Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Oh, Kenny Galladay, that's outstanding! That is outstanding! Oh, 31 yards, and the Lions have the lead for the first time today.
Man.
Stafford put that on a rope.
And you got these big body receivers that like to put their bodies in some of these little defensive backs. That was a great job of Kenny Galladay shielding the defensive back, keeping them on the backside, coming up with a hands catch, touchdown.
So not only do the Lions go for it on fourth, which is ballsy, they convert with a great throw by Stafford, great catch by Marvy. But I'm pretty sure I got this in the right sequence, that right after that, they end up throwing this. And this is late in the – I mean, this is, again, I want to say this is, early to mid fourth quarter, game in the balance. They go for it. They get it. Stafford, absolutely beautiful ball to Kenny. So again, we'll get to the other third down play where we talked about it and they showed some guts. But talk to me about this one as well as the touchdown pass, which we had an absolute tremendous look at from our seats.
Yep. Sorry, I was thinking of the fourth down play at the end of the game, but you're right. It was in years past it wouldn't happen that they would like, okay, we'll send the defense back out there, we'll try to stop them, get the ball back, make something happen. But yeah, that Marvin, he's come up really big this year so far with some nice catches, and that was a great catch, him going down to make that play. Nice throw by Stafford as well. But the touchdown to Galladay, he had a step, had position, and he just put it right on him. That was huge. That was really pumped up the crowd. The crowd exploded at that point, and it was that was, you keep talking about they needed to make a play. That was the play.
Yeah, big time. You know what I mean? That was, to me, that's a swing point in the game. Not only like not being conventional, not being scared, going for it on fourth, but, again, Stafford had 2 picks at that point. He could have been gun shy. Instead, he saw his guy got a step. I watched that play a couple different times. At Game Pass they have where you can just you can get the all 11 and they show it from different ways. Oh man, it was just so sweet. Like 2 inside post routes. I think it was Marvin on the real inside cleared it out, and then Kenny just got that inside leverage, inside position. Absolutely perfect throw, and Kenny's just so good at being able to go up in the air, catch it, and not let that ball move. So it was absolutely tremendous, and to me that's sort of what won him the game. I mean, that's the go-ahead touchdown. Philip Rivers gets the football back. He starts dinking and dunking down the field. Again, we don't need to get into it, but, I'm standing up, just going nuts, like saying we just need to play. You were getting a little trepidatious there. Here we go. They got to do something. How about we stop somebody? And sure enough, Grifka, your boy comes back, makes a play. I've got the audio for you. Here you go.
13-10, Lions lead it. Minute 10 to go in the game. 3rd and 19, LA from the Lions 28. Rivers out of the gun. Play clock at 5. Rivers takes the snap. 3-man rush for Detroit. Rivers, long look into the end zone. It is intercepted by the Lions. Intercepted by Darius Slay. He's got it. Picked it off in the end zone. Oh, Darius, young man, you did it again. You did it again. Yes, sir. Oh, baby, stand up, everybody. It's not over yet, but that's one big play.
Big play, exactly. Big play. Slay coming up huge. Absolutely incredible. And Grifka, I meant to say this off the top, but after this play, well, I'll save it for once we talk about third down. What do you think about big play coming up under this route? I don't know why Philip Rivers was taking this crazy shot. If you go back and watch it, he's got a corner underneath. He's got a safety up over the top. There's really no room to fit this football. Darius Slay undercuts it, basically just comes right to him, but he does make a good catch, gets his feet down. I basically thought it was over at this point, wasn't really thinking about timeouts, and probably 2 minutes. I want to say there was a little bit under 2 minutes when this happened, probably about 1:30 or so. But the game was still somewhat in the balance, but this was huge. Place was going nuts. I loved it.
Yeah, that would, I think Rivers just thought that Allen would bring it in, considering, like you mentioned, that he was pretty much beating Slay all day. He just, here, you go up and get it. And Slay made the play. I mean, he was able to undercut the throw, make a great catch there, right actually at the pylon. It wasn't in the middle of the end zone. It was right at the pylon, able to catch the ball and get his feet in for the pick. So, that was a nice play.
Huge play for, like I say, you cannot take any games in the NFL lightly. I mean, everyone is so important. Yeah, you're going to lose football games. You're going to play bad at certain points, but anytime you can get a W, anytime you can win a game at home, even against a depleted Chargers, it doesn't matter. Like, this was a huge football game. So they get that pick. I think the game's basically over. And then you're like, hey, they still got some timeouts, whatever. I'm like, all we got to do, excuse me, is make one first down. So Grifka, I'm going to pitch the ball back to you because I want to hear your version of this story. So just take me to, they run a couple up the middle with CJ Anderson. And then on third down, take me from there. What happened, in your opinion?
Well, yeah, like I'd started before until you corrected me, which isn't a problem. That I was talking about the wrong play. That you had asked me what would you do? Would you throw it or run it? And I said, well, I'd run it just to make them use their timeout and then punt it back so they have no timeouts left where they would have to move down the field. And I know at one point you're like, but are they really going to be able to like drive it that far? I'm like, well, didn't they do that right before halftime? They just kind of threw that bomb down the field where it looked like Rashawn Melvin bit out a double move, and their wide receiver, I believe it was Travis Benjamin, was just wide open. So, I mean, I guess anything could happen at that point. But you said you should pass it, and, try to seal the victory. And that's what he did. Stafford got it. He faked the handoff, rolled out, hit Jesse James right there. James caught it, fell forward, got the first down. Game over. I mean, San Diego. Los Angeles had one more timeout. They didn't even bother using it once they spotted it. They just had to they placed it. Stafford took one more snap, and the game was over.
All right, there you go. He's truthful. That's exactly sort of how it went down. I said, you got to throw it, end the game. I was so sick of these games where they've done the other way. They've done the percentages. Comes back to not work out well. I was like, just end it. It's not like it was fourth down. It was third down. If you don't get it, you kick it away. Darrell Bevel pulls out a little play action, and like I swear, when he faked it and was coming out the other side, I'm just like, my eyes got wide. I'm like, just make this catch. Now, when I went back and watched it on the TV feed, it wasn't that slam dunk. When he makes the throw, Jesse James is still probably 3-4 plus yards away from the sticks. He catches it, gets upfield, gets dragged down, and kind of barely gets across the first down marker. Probably got it by a half, full yard, whatever it was. It was closer than I thought when we were there in person, because the minute he faked it and threw it to Jesse James, I was celebrating with the people. I think I was, crowd surfing halfway up the aisle at that point. That was huge. Ford Field was going nuts. I love the energy by the people. Everybody was going crazy. Like, this was no ho hum. Oh, we got a victory. This was like, people were absolutely loving it. Great end to a football game. And the funniest part too on the TV feed was Kevin Harlan, who's kind of a, he does some crazy calls for basketball and stuff, but like I listened to it and then watched it. He had some weird calls in this game where he just got like overly excited. But then when the Lions faked it and threw and got the first down, not only was he not excited, he like didn't even realize the game was over. He was kind of like just ho hum. And then they come back and they just kneel and he goes, "Oh, the game's over." Like, he just had no idea what was going on. So, like I say, great win by the Lions. I might as well use it now. Grifka, I don't know if you know this or not, but the Detroit Lions are 1-0-1, which kind of means this.
I'm undefeated, never lost. I'm undefeated, never lost.
Thank you, LeVar Ball. Yes, you're right. The Lions are.
I'm undefeated, never lost.
So I love it. After 2 games, everybody's still crying and whining about the tie. Going home, get a victory, go to Philly, and hopefully play great football. I feel great about it.
Yeah, it was great to walk out of there. The crowd was just stoked as always walking out, and nothing was as cool as like as we were walking out, those 2 guys in front of us. One guy started to chant undefeated, and his buddy clapped 3 times, and he said undefeated again. And his buddy clapped 3 times.
I'm undefeated, never lost.
And nobody picked up on it, so it kind of fizzled out after about 5 seconds, and me and you just laughed. It's like, idiots.
It was crazy. Such a fun. I mean, you said it to me, which I didn't realize. Like, we haven't got a dub in a while because we had a couple losses or a couple rough outings. Which, again, as I stated earlier, I mean, not the most fun when a loss or when the Lions play bad. They're both at the game or contained in a car with Grifka. So for them to be able to get a dub, we walk out with our heads high. The crowd's going nuts. We had to rush home. Unfortunately, we would have been out hanging out with the people, with the Kool-Aid drinkers, passing out Kool-Aid packets and throwing the football at random strangers. But I thought it was great, man. I thought it was a great day down there. A bunch of fun. Get a dub. Now we look ahead in this season and also look ahead to our next roadie, man. I thought it was tough getting up or getting going for this one. We'll be heading to Green Bay in a few weeks. That's going to be crazy. So I hope you're ready to rock and roll. I hope you know that we're trying to go into Lambeau and get a dub. Win, no matter what. All we got to do is walk out of there with one more point than they do. But wins aren't easy in the NFL. That's why I get so frustrated when people are picking apart, saying, what if this, what if that? What if we won? What if we beat the other team in front of us, scored more points than they did, and walked into week 3 of the NFL season?
I'm undefeated, never lost.
With no losses on our record. Like, I feel pretty good about that, man.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling to have. There's only so many teams left with that are undefeated, so.
Absolutely, man. Well, we talked about a lot on the show. Let's go ahead and get out of here. We will come back on Friday and talk about all things Philly. Lions heading into Philly. Philly's all beat up. We're feeling good about ourselves. It's not an easy place to play, but the Lions have won there before. We'll talk all about it and break it down. Grifka, do you have anything else for the people?
Nope.
That's a triple. I hope the people are liking the new bell. It's probably easier on the ears, and I just got to get used to using it. So, fun show. I got after Grifka a little bit, pretty much deserved, but also having some fun with it. We obviously had a good time at the game. Fun to get a W. Lions need this next one, but like I said, every win in the NFL is huge, and we had a bunch of fun down in the D at this ball game. Glad we were there. Always fun to see a win in person. So, everybody, thanks so much for listening. We'll be back Friday with another episode of the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Take care, everybody. We're out.
Pack the bags, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.